First, we want to give honor to the Most High God, the great God that keepeth covenants and mercies for them that love him and observe his commandments. And then to his Son, who is our King, our Savior, our High Priest, our Prince, whom the Father used to reconcile us back to himself. So we thank God for his Son. And then everybody that's with us, elders, mothers, brothers, sisters, children, those that are watching online, as the scripture says, all the partakers of the heavenly calling, we thank God for each and every one of you. Got a little late start, but we are going to get started nonetheless. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 18. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 18. If you have anything, please bring it out. If not, not going to kind of go, but I think I have like 2 or 3 spots I might want to visit. All right. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 18. Nevertheless, thy saints. Matter of fact, let me just a little recap on like the chapters, like the chapter before. Let's go to chapter 17. Quick. So we look at this. It's dealing when he started now down to during the times of Egypt, right? So I'm going to read verse 1 and 2. For great are thy judgments and cannot be expressed, therefore unnatural souls have erred. For when unrighteous men thought to oppress the holy nation, they being shut up in their houses, the prisoners of darkness, and fettered with the bonds of a long night, laid there exiled from the eternal providence. So this was dealing with the time that the holy nation will be dealing with Israel. When Israel was in Egypt, okay, and the Most High started, pouring out some of his wrath over the Egyptians, right? This is what he was dealing with. He was talking about, when you go to like Exodus, it talks about, just darkness based like for 3 days and things of that nature. But don't give the intricate details of what that was like, what that experience was like for them. Okay. This was describing that the Most High using that darkness, but it was terrors happening. Them when they hear a sound, they were getting scared. Some of them died just off the fear of what was happening and how their magicians didn't have no answer and things of that nature. So it goes a little more in detail of what was happening. All right. Let's go to, we're gonna go right to the chapter. Just want to make sure we knew. Okay, so we knew what's going on. And this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 18. Nevertheless, thy saints had a very great light, whose voice they hearing and not seeing their shape, because they also had not suffered the same things, they counted them happy. Right? So once again, they was experiencing darkness, not the saints. But for that they did not hurt them now, of whom they had been wronged before. They thanked them and besought them pardon for that they had been enemies. Right. So when most I was doing all these things, we weren't going to taking advantage, we weren't hurting them or anything like that. All right. Verse 3, and this is why, sometimes when we realize when the Most High has the battle, you don't have to worry about trying to seek vengeance on your enemy. This is why, people are like, oh, the Bible's saying, don't be vengeful and turn the other cheek and everything. It's not that people are not going to reap what they have done, right? But when righteousness comes, when judgment comes, right, it clears up all the unrighteousness, right? So yes, that person might be unrighteous, but if you're being unrighteous and you're trying to, get vengeance and everything on them, you can be found also getting corrected. Okay. So this is why we talk about vengeance of the Lord is we don't have to worry about did that person that did me wrong, how they're going to pay, when they're going to pay, right? How I'm going to make, this happen because to show that they're reaping and God, you don't have to do any of that. All right. If you believe in God, believe that he's a just judge. Okay. That's why I said this thing is about understanding. If you believe the God that you're dealing with is just. If you believe that he sees all things, then why not leave it in his hands? He can punish them more than you can even think of punishing. Okay? So this is why we give it to the hands of the Most High God. Verse 3. Instead whereof thou gavest them a burning pillar of fire, both to be a guide of the unknown journey and a harmless sun to entertain them honorably. Okay, I always know that. So when we look at this, we can let's get the reference point where this came from. Exodus 13. Exodus 13. All right. And I'm going to start from verse 20. Exodus 13 and verse 20. And they took their journey from Succoth and encamped in Etham, in the edge of the wilderness. And Yahweh went before them by day in a pillar of a cloud to lead them the way, and by a night in a pillar of fire to give them light, to go by day and night. Okay, so during the daytime where you had the sun, he was using the cloud. All right, at night he was using the fire. Okay. He took not away the pillar of the cloud by day, nor the pillar of fire by night from before the people. Okay, so we go back here. Verse 3, see what he's talking about. Instead of whereof thou gavest them a burning pillar of fire, both to be a guide of the unknown journey and a harmless sun to entertain them honorably. Okay, so once again, still dealing with what? Egypt. That's the time frames happening, right? He's focusing on that aspect. Talking about the plague. Remember, the darkness plague was before that, and when he was going out, it was by that pillar of fire. Okay, verse 4. Chat. All right, verse 4. For they were worthy to be deprived. For they were worthy to be deprived of light and imprisoned in darkness, who had kept thy sons shut up, by whom the uncorrupt light of the law was to be given unto the world. Okay, so they were worthy to be deprived of light. They deserved that darkness, right? They deserved to be imprisoned in that darkness. Because what they do? They kept thy sons shut up. They had us in a certain prison. This is why I'm saying the Most High he's poetic with how he does his vengeance and his justice, right? Oh, you put them in bondage where they couldn't get out. I'm going to put you into bondage, all right? I'm going to have you captive where you can't get out. Oh, you wanted to kill all their firstborns. Guess what? I'm going to take out all yours. Right? So I want y'all to see, this is how the Most High, he's weighing these balances out, and he's doing it correctly. And guess what? We don't get hit with anything because what? He's doing it. But sometimes when we put our hands into certain things, that's when we get ourselves messed up. Sometimes we'll go too far, things of that nature, right? So this is why I say when the Most High does it, he'll do it beautifully. Okay. So while we're at verse 4, took another passage. All right. Because that light of law was given unto the world. All right. But let me show you something about the light. John 3. I believe this is the right one. All right. So I'm just going to go verse 17. Y'all, everybody kind of know for God so loved the world part. So 17. For God sent not his son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. He that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he have not believed in the name of thy only begotten Son of God. Okay? Now, when you go to verse 19, and this is the condemnation, all right, that light is come into the world, and men love darkness rather than light because their deeds were evil. Okay, so Christ was supposed to be that what? Light that came into the world. All right, but why people couldn't receive him? Because they rather be in darkness, right, than to be in the light. And it's the same thing today. Not just with Christ, but what does Christ represent? Because like I said, they're kind of polluting what Christ uh came and what he was doing, right? But Christ was coming and saying, I'm coming in my Father's name. I'm coming, I'm getting my Father's words and things he said. I got these commandments and things that you have to live by. But men, what they do? They love darkness rather than light. Because what? Because their deeds were evil. When you don't desire to do right, you are not going to love what the Son came to do. You are not going to love what the Son told you to do. This is why men will read this book and they'll try to pollute it because their deeds are evil. But what? Verse 20. For everyone that doeth evil hateth the light, neither come to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. We have a lot of people in churches that are not trying to correct their deeds. They're not trying to correct their wicked ways. They want to be justified from it. Right? You know what you're doing is wicked. You know what you're doing is evil. But I don't want to change. Going and learn about this Bible, it requires a change that I am not willing to do. So instead of being, you know what, I can't do it right now, I can't receive right now, or ask God for strength or anything like that, they'll say, you know what, I'm going to try to twist these scriptures that make me feel good in the state that I'm in. I want to feel good in wickedness. And they'll pressure these teachers and so-called pastors and things of that nature to oblige them. Yes, you only preach things that's going to soothe my flesh, but not going to evoke change. But this should not be. This is not what Christ came to do. Verse 21. But he that doeth truth cometh to the light. You hear that? He that doeth truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrought in God. So it's not about running from the things you have done wrong. It's about bringing it to the Son, right? He can manifest, and this is what the scriptures do. They manifest our deeds, the things that we are doing wrong, so that we then can what? Correct them. It's hard to correct something you don't know you're doing wrong. So this is why he's coming. People have put, I don't want my deeds to be shown or anything. No, you come to this word of God saying, you know what? I'm undone. I'm weak, right? I'm this, I'm that. I'm a sinner. Correct me, help me, build me up. And that's what the Son came to do, to build us out of that state of wickedness and darkness. But everybody will not accept it. They will not accept it. Okay? By whom the uncorrupt light of the law was to be given unto the world. All right? This is why Christ even said, I'm coming to what? The volume of the book. All right? Go ahead, sis.
All praise to the Most High. And just to land back off of that, John 8 and 12, just saying the same thing you're saying, that Christ is the light. I really like how you brought that out. Uncorrupted, light of the law is Christ. And I was like, oh, wow, yeah, that's facts. Praise to the Most High. So, and that it's a John 8 and 12. All praises.
Problem. Oh, I was sharing the sound. I'm sorry. Hopefully I didn't mess this up. All right, yeah. John 8 and verse 12. John 8, verse 12. Then spake Yahushua again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's dealing with what? That spirit that's supposed to be within us. Because, and it's a great point. And this thing about it is a lot of people look at laws, what Christ's doing, and they put it, I don't know why they make it, but I do know why. But the point of it is that light to be getting in you, right? This is why Christ talking about you are the, to be the light of the world, right? Let your light so shine, right? Because we understand that the laws and everything is direction. It's the guidance that the Most High have put upon us, that the path we should walk. And that's the light we're supposed to be living so others can see it and come to this. And Christ was just the perfect example of that. And we should be all striving to walk according to that. Right? But yes, this is powerful. He's the light of the world. Right? He that follows me shall not walk in darkness. That's why it's impossible. If you're following Christ, there's certain things that's just impossible. But what happens is people try to put it as, this gray area, right? Oh, you could be somewhat in the world and somewhat. No, there's no somewhat. If you think you're somewhat in both, you're all the way into the world, right? This is why it says light don't mix with darkness, right? It can't comprehend it. They don't mix. Either the room has light in it or it's dark, right? The absence of it. So if we have Christ, we can't be walking in darkness because then we can't be a light. Good one says, was that it or yet something else?
That's it. I yield the floor.
Sorry about that. All right. Good one. And like I said, we can go and give other examples. All right. But most part, this is the thing that's supposed to be coming out, right? I love it, uncorrupt light of law, right? Uncorrupt. There's a pureness to this. Okay. Man has laws, but it's not pure, right? They'll have some good aspects of some of the stuff they grab right from, the Bible and our laws, right? But then they have their own things. See, that's not an uncorrupt light. All right. But when it comes from the Father, it's uncorruptible. All right. Verse 5. And when they had determined to slay the babes of the saints, one child being cast forth and saved to reprove them, thou tookest away the multitude of their children and destroyed them altogether in a mighty water. Okay, so once in, he's getting on them. All right, worthy to be the proud light in prison and darkness, kept the sun shut up. All right, saying, guess what? And when you determined to slay the babes of the saints, remember, because they threw the children 2 years and under, and the rest. I'm mixed the word they used. Is that the Jordan? Okay. Okay, now I know I went blank now. But when they threw them in the water, remember, it was Moses that got saved out of that generation. All right. So he's saying, determined to slay the babes of the saints, because who the saints? Israel. All right. One, a child being cast forth and saved. Okay. To what? Point of him being saved was what? To reprove them. Right? Thou tookest away the multitude of their children. Right? That child that was spared, right? Moses was the one that was what? Going to be the leader or the front runner that the Most High used the vessel to execute what? That vengeance. It wasn't an accident that he was saved. He spared Moses. One of the most spared him for that reason. And destroyed them altogether in a mighty water. All right. So you see that what? A lot of them, some got killed right off from these plagues was happening. He's getting killed, and then the water, that mighty water, come in, killed them. All right. Verse 6. Of that night were our fathers certified afore, that assuredly knowing unto what oaths they had given credence, they might afterwards be of good cheer. Right. So of thy people was accepted both the salvation of the righteous and destruction of the enemies. So, beloved, this is why we're reading. It's so important to read and give, to teach your children things of that nature, right? Because these are the things that spares you, right? These stories and everything, not just supposed to be stories like you're reading some comic book or some fairy tale, things of that nature. People kind of treat the Bible like that. But no, these are things that can help you in the time of trouble. These things can lift you out of dark states, right? These things are equipped to equip you during trials and tribulations, all right? During spiritual warfare. This is the power in these words, okay? Some of our fathers held close to it, okay? And it says, so the people was accepted both the salvation of the righteous and destruction of the enemies. They seen both. They see God save his people. And they seen also what? Him destroying the enemies. For wherewith thou didst punish our adversaries, by the same thou did glorify us, when thou hast called. All right. Whom thou hast called. I'm sorry. So this is the beautiful thing about God. This is why I'm saying he can do 2 or 3 things at one time. Sometimes he's doing that. Right? Men dealing with chess. He's doing chess moves. He put all these calculations together. Because during that Egypt thing was a lot of things. Trying to show you that, listen, there's only one true God. He's the one that has the power of all these things. Don't touch my people. I'll protect my people. Right? He's showing all these different things in his Exodus. All right. So, and the one thing that's beautiful about it is we literally see that he can bring us out. At any time he could have did this. It ain't like the miracles that he did had to be, he had to charge up or, I got to save up for power to do it. He could have did that anytime. But he chose his time. And it's his time when he wants to glorify and magnify and when he wants to humble and destroy. Okay. Verse 9. For the righteous children of good men did sacrifice secretly, and with one consent made a holy law that the saints should be like partakers of the same good and evil. The fathers now singing out the songs of praise. All right. So some of them were trying to what? Not signing. Someone was doing it. They were still offering those sacrifices, still doing what thus saith the Lord. Right. And even when times seem bad, even when during oppression, you don't have to lose out on your faith. Right? And your dedication, you can still do it. All right? You serve God right in your mind. Your body can be shackled, but your mind can be free. People think because of my condition that defines my spirituality with the Most High. No. Right? This is what Christ is trying to break some of that stuff down, saying, with the woman, the true worshipers. How is the time for the true worshipers? Don't get caught up. I'm just connected in Jerusalem. Some of them thought they was only getting close to God when they was in the land in Jerusalem. Some people think they can only get close to God when I'm in the church or I'm this. Wherever you at, you are not limited. You're not limited to the access. You're not limited to what God can do, no matter where you're at in this world. Okay? But the righteous should know this. Okay? The righteous should know this. Be taught it's in the scriptures. Verse 10. But on the other side, there sounded an ill-according cry of the enemies, and a lamentable noise was carried abroad for children that were bewailed. All right, so they were mourning over the children. Why? Because the children were killed. Verse 11, the master and the servant were punished after one manner, and like as the king, so suffered the common person. All right, so God was showing there ain't no respect to persons in this thing. All right. I got the one the king that's sitting on the throne. He got hit with a plague, as well as what society would deem as the lowest person. They got hit with it. So everybody's crying. All right. Everybody suffered loss. Verse 12. So they altogether had innumerable dead with one kind of death. Neither were the living sufficient to bury them, for in one moment the noblest offspring of them was destroyed. Okay, so you know how much death that is. That they couldn't even get everybody bread. They just, oh my God, some people lost their, they could have lost their grandparent, their parent, their sibling, a couple of their cousins, a niece, and it could have been that many. Like people see firstborn, they think, oh, it's just my sibling. No, your mom and dad could have been firstborn. If you had multiple kids, one of your siblings gone. If they had kids, one of them gone. So people losing 4 or 5 people close to them. You know how devastating this did? The Most High is not somebody to play with. All right? Verse 13. For whereas they would not believe anything by reason of the enchantments, upon the destruction of the firstborn, they acknowledged this people to be the sons of God. All right? So they was hard-headed. They was stiff-necked. Most High made, allowed them to be stiff-necked, and I see that verse right there. Enchantments was giving them, and I love that verse. Whereas they would not believe anything by the reason of the enchantments. See, people are enchanted. Some don't even know they're enchanted with certain things, and that's the reason why they can't see correctly, right? Some people are enchanted by their past. That's why they can't see the truth. Some people are enchanted by the building, and that's why they can't see the truth. Some people enchanted by how people are putting things together, even if it's a lie, how the lie is put together. Some people enchanted by the music that's being played. There's so many enchantments that they can't see the truth. And this was happening. They was enchanted. But he said what? Upon the destruction of the firstborn. But when that firstborn, when that thing hit all from the palace, from the king all the way down to the common person, even the enchantment fell right off of it. That stomach, it fell right off of them. And they had to what? They had to acknowledge it. These people are the sons of God. See, but that opened our eyes. Listen, they can't explain it. At least they had the sense that this got to be the finger of God. We so far removed and foolish, we don't even know the finger of God. Even when he can smack us with all these curses, we still, right? Because that stiff-neckedness. But they had to throw themselves in. These are the sons of God. Listen, we can't. This is God's children right here, right here. Yeah, exactly, sis. So with that mind, real quick. See, we've been playing enchantment. This guy's the true master. We thought we had God dealing with us and using us to do certain things. They thought they was dabbling with some great power until they ran against the power, the source of all power. And they could only confess this got to be the children of God. And we had our people got a little hard-headed and stuff like that with Christ. Okay? And remember that the Romans, this got to be the Son of God, right? They'll confess it when sometimes certain things hit, they be like, woo, nah, this is something different. Everybody got it. Every little nation got their little priests and stuff like that, right? But they're like, this is different. Okay? So I'll say there's levels to it, right? But they see that this is a whole different thing that we can't explain. We can't match up with this. This is the finger of God happening before our eyes. Okay. Verse 14. For while all things were in quiet silence, and that night was in the midst of her swift course, thy almighty word leaped down from heaven out of the royal throne, as a fierce man of war into the midst of a land of destruction, and brought thy unfeigned commandment as a sharp sword, and standing up filled all things with death, and it touched the heaven, but it stood upon the earth. Right? So that night it was silent, everything. But what? Since the almighty word leaped out from heaven. Okay, as what? A fierce man of war. And you can connect that with remember when they're singing when they get out of Egypt, they talk about, how he's a man of war. Let me just check it real quick. I think it's like Exodus 15. I'm an old soul, so I go like the Bible books. So see where somebody's at. Okay, so I'm gonna go to it real quick just so you can see it. This is a song they did. Just see the man of war reference. Then say Moses, the children of Israel, this song unto Yahweh, and spake, saying, I will sing unto Yahweh, for he hath triumphed gloriously. The horse and the rider hath he thrown into the sea. Right? So this is when they overtake in the water. Yahweh is a man of war. Yahweh is his name. Right? So once again, just using that fierce man of war is God or anything a man of, no, not a man, all right? The man of war in the sense of they actually seen him, showing his might in a I would say in a destructive manner, right? In a fighting sense. Like we see, but they like, we ain't witnessed this kind of stuff. We ain't see God move like this, where he's hitting with all these miracles and everything. This is something you're not witness. Okay. So it was a new thing. And what? In the midst of a land of destruction, because what's happening in Egypt? They was getting destroyed. These plagues was tearing their land all the way up. Now, he could have started with the firstborn and probably just shook up everything. What? He was doing the build up. He was strategically doing these things, leaving room for no doubt. Every God they could imagine. that they were praying to, said they had power over these things, Most High was just tearing all that up. So much now when the firstborn died, they just these are the sons of God. We don't have nothing. We have no source. We have nothing to go back to. This is it. This is the real deal. All right. So let's get verse 17. Then suddenly visions of horrible dreams troubled them sore, and terrors came upon them unlooked for. And one thrown here and another thrown there, half dead, showed the cause of his death. Right? Say, Most High is putting them through it. Okay, and what's in? Not to destroy them, he's leaving witnesses and things of that nature as well. Remember when this happened after Egypt? Remember they're traveling, and they go to another land, and they say, "Well, we heard about what your God did." All right, the God of Israel was ringing bells because what? Egypt was a powerful nation, a world nation, right? A world power. People knew about Egypt. They're like, whoa, you telling me the people you had in bondage, them slaves, did not lift up even a pocket knife, right? And they was able to, all of them, leave out of there, and they took out the best of your army, and they get cattle, everything you was doing, all that stuff. They wiped them all out. They did all that. Yes, their God lives. It wasn't about Israel. It was about our God. Their God fights for them. Because all nations have their little gods, but they're like, no. We doing all this stuff. We making stuff up for how our God doing it. No, we seen their God in action. Nobody never seen that. Their God, we never seen a God actually move on somebody on their behalf. Not giving credit for what you possibly did in the war. Oh, they'll give credit. Oh, we did this and we took over. We give praise to rock. They're like, no, their God actually fought for them. Right? So our name was being elevated. Those are the children of the true God. All right? The God that lives. Okay? And we have to believe that. We got to tell ourselves and remind ourselves sometimes that, because sometimes we forget. We will let what this world is saying and all this kind of stuff pollute our mind and get in our mind, right? We got to protect our mind. You serve the true and living God. All right? All right. Verse 19. For the dreams that troubled them did foreshow this, lest they should perish and not know why they were afflicted. So he gave them little, foreshadowing things so they can know exactly what's happening. This wasn't just a witness for Israel to see, but it was also a witness for the enemy to see and realize. All right. Verse 20. Yea, the tasting of death touched the righteous also, and there was a destruction of the multitude in the wilderness, but the wrath endured not long. Oh, yeah, Israel got touched too. Right? But he's saying what? It touched the righteous, it touched us, but what? And there was a destruction of the multitude in the wilderness, but the wrath endured not long. All right. So ours wasn't like a total wipeout or anything like that. All right. It was limited. Okay. Why? Verse 21. For then the blameless man made haste. All right. Oh, they ain't no blameless man, ain't no perfect. The blameless man made haste and stood forth to defend them. All right. So they were tasting death. The blameless man made haste, stood before them to defend them, and bringing the shield of his proper ministry, you'll see what this is, even prayer and propitiation of incense, set himself against the wrath. Right? And so brought the calamity to an end, declaring that he was thy servant. So let's go to example this. Right. Let's go to number 16. And it was like another, not exactly, was another example, one of the priests doing it, something like this to hold back a plague. All right, but I'm going to show the one with. All I'm just gonna read. Let's go 23. Yeah, I was speaking to Moses, saying, speaking to the congregation, saying, "Get up out from get you up from about the tabernacle of Korah, Dathan, Abram." So these brothers was going basically trying to usurp authority over Moses. Okay, it might say in the beginning. So they rose up before Moses with certain of the children of Israel, 250 princes of the assembly, famous in the congregation, men of renown. And they gathered themselves against Moses and against Aaron, and said unto them, Ye take too much upon you, seeing all the congregation are holy, every one of them, and Yahweh is among them. Wherefore then lift ye up yourselves above the congregation of the Lord. All right. So they're saying, "Oh, you put too much. You elevating yourself among us, right? You making yourself leader. You making yourself high among us." But the problem is what they weren't doing that. That was the Most High doing. See, they believed it when they was in Egypt, right? When you desperate, you just sometimes you'll submit and do things, but as soon as you get back to what you feel is, you get some of your unction back, or things are safe or settled. See, sometimes that true person will come out. See, they was willing to submit under Moses and Aaron when they was in trouble and they delivered them out. But as soon as they got delivered, you see the true intent come out. The true spirit of them come out. Right? And this is how this world is. All right. But we got to make sure we don't have that kind of spirit. But if you do, this is a nice lesson to learn from it. Okay. So once again, they rose up against them. And let me see. So I don't want to go through everything, but basically he opened up the earth and he swallowed a lot of them up. All right. And the second day, people came. What I ain't gonna go through the story, but basically the earth opened up and basically closed up on them and killed many people. I forgot the exact number. Okay. But I'm just gonna go to the last part. Okay. All right, so let's go verse 44. And Yahweh was speaking to Moses, saying, Get you up from among this congregation, that I may consume them as in a moment. And they fell upon their faces. I was like, you know what? Nah, because this is what the thing is. Our God is very patient, very long suffering. The fruits of the spirit they talking about, he's that, right? But long suffering and patient don't mean you're gonna do whatever you want for the longest, and it's never gonna be a consequence. No, he's not quick with all the time. But when you get him there, right? Oh, he's ready for that wrath to be poured out. That's the problem. That's what's hard to appease him. Okay. So people sinning, they don't realize, all right, you sinning, well, I'm sinning, I'm gonna keep doing it. All right. Time to be paid. All right, you stop doing it. All right, you need to stop doing it. All right, you need to stop doing that. It's like a parent. What happens after a while? Then that wrath come out. Right? And it's not pretty because what? I've been telling you to stop. Okay. Once again, so verse 46. And Moses said unto Aaron, Take a censer and put fire therein from off the altar. So Moses telling Aaron this, and put on the incense. So you take the fire off, put on the incense, and go quickly unto the congregation and make an atonement for them. All right, so you can grab the incense, go to the congregation, and you're going to atone for them. For there is wrath going out from Yahweh. The plague is begun. So the plague is coming, and he's about to destroy them. And what? That's that mercy coming out. Moses get Aaron and run out there, tell him to run out with those incense. And Aaron took as Moses commanded and ran into the midst of the congregation. And behold, the plague was begun among the people. And he put on incense and made atonement for the people. And he stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was stayed. Let me keep reading. Now they that died in the plague were 14,700. Besides them that died about the matter of Korah. And Aaron returned to Moses unto the door of the tabernacle congregation, and the plague was stayed. Love it. He's saying 14,000 was dying from the plague. If Aaron didn't get there, oh, that number would have been drastically up. That plague was still been going. So this is why you gotta be so mindful who you speak on. right? Because there's some people that are not sent of God, absolute false prophets. Get that. But you better not mistaken a righteous leader or a person of God for that, because you be blaspheming and that wrath can come upon you. Remember, the wrath come on because what are you doing? They went against his servants. He said, what you doing making yourself basically above us? Most High got offended from that because you coming at him. So you think you coming at that person. No, you're attacking the Most High. And that cost them their lives. That's how serious this thing is. So we go back. We got a few minutes, all right? So for when? Remember, death touched the righteous also, right? And door not long. Why didn't the door long? For then the blameless man made haste. Now we know who that's talking about, right? Aaron had to hurry up. Remember, we said the plague's begun. Get out there. All right. I don't know how fast Aaron was moving or how quick that plague was going, but 14,000 people already got killed by the time he got there, right? So he said the blameless and stood forth to defend them. How did he defend them? He had the incense. Okay, that was part of the defense. Because when I said, you better bring this. Okay, and bringing the shield of his proper ministry, even prayer. Right, so he was coming there prayerful as well. Remember, that's a shield. That's part of our intercession as well. Okay, so he had the thing that Most High to obedience, had his prayer with the right mindset, and the propitiation of incense. Right, which you talked about, set himself against the wrath. So he had that incense. It was face to face with the wrath. And so brought the calamity to an end, declaring that he was thy servant. Why is that important, beloved? You have to know who you are. He knew God sent him to do. He knew what he was doing was right. He was following the instructions. So he could go face to face with this plague because he knows what? He's God sent. You don't need to have fear when you're God sent. You can be bold when you're God sent. Right? Not cocky. Cocky has a little bit of a bad connotation. You could be bold in this thing. He went to that thing knowing what? I'm doing this in obedience. I know what the Most High have put in me, in the position he put in me. And he was able to stand right before the plague. And listen, beloved, these are the people that was blaspheming against him. This is why, leader, you can't have, he don't make thin-skinned leaders. You gotta have some thick skin. Because sometimes you got to save the knuckleheads that was trying to overthrow you. You have to save the knuckleheads that's talking about you, right? You can't get emotional every time somebody says them, oh, God strike them down. No, you can't have that mindset. You got to know what your position is, what the Most High has placed on you, what the ministry was. Put that right there. And bringing the shield of his proper ministry. I'm here to what? As a high priest. I'm here for what? Saving the people. Not here to destroy. I'm here to what? Save them. So to atone for them. This is why Christ comes on the same scene. That's why he called that high priest, is the same kind of correlation. I'm not come to destroy, I come to save. The disciples saying, Christ, what do you want us to do? You want us to send fire down from heaven and destroy him? What did he rebuke them? Say, you don't know what spirit you in. You don't know what I came to do. I'm not coming here to destroy. I'm coming to destroy. It'd be easy. I could just go out destroying. I came right now to save. And he's wearing that. Okay, he literally wears that as well. We're going to see that. Verse 22. So he overcame the destroyer, not with strength of body, not by strength, not force of arms, not by might, but by a word. But with a word. The scripture says not by strength, not by might, not by strength, but by my spirit, right? Not by my body, not by force, not from what I possess, not what this flesh has, but what? With a word subdued him that punished. The word kept this plague back. What? Alleging the oaths and covenants made with the fathers. He put that thing in remembrance. See, this is a spiritual thing happening. See, your weapons and guns, it can't stop a plague of God. What you need the power of God to stop that. And what he threw? The power of God. What's the power of God? The oaths that we got. That's power behind it. Whether you believe it, receive it or not, it's power behind what he told our forefather Jacob and Abraham and Isaac and all. That's power. That's what he went back to. Remember us, your children, your servant. God will remember you. You got to sometimes claim it when the plague and things are happening to you. But you get so caught up on what's happening, you forget who you are. You forget the strength, the spirit that God put in you to defend it. You call upon your God in the time of trials and tribulations. You call upon your God in the time of weaknesses and struggles. See, the heathens don't have that. You have it. Scripture says like you kind of put God in remembrance. Not that he forgot, but you need to remember, Lord, I'm your faithful servant. And you can, when you're not playing around with this thing, you can say it with authority. Not being, talking about you, but just, Lord, I'm doing what you told me to do. And there's something I'm not doing. Please give it to me that I will correct it. I am your child. See, he will hear you. Right? He will hear the prayer of the righteous. But sometimes Satan's trying to what? He try to get you so distracted, you so focused that you forget who you are. And that's why I said at the end of every class, you need to what? Profess and tell yourself daily that I am a child of God. Because a lot of times when things start happening, you start to forget that you're a child of God. You start to think, oh, I'm an enemy. God don't like. You start to have that kind of stuff come with you. Because that's the spirit of Satan that's trying to what? Get you off of what? Your power, your strength. Okay? 23. For when the dead were now fallen down by heaps, one upon another, standing between, he stayed the wrath. All right, remember, he got in between the living and the dead, and parted the way to the living. For in a long garment was the whole world. And in the four rows of the stones was the glory of the Father's graven, and the majesty upon the diadem of his head. All right. So remember, the high priest does have like the literally the stones and everything. Remember the each tribe, right? Total of 12, right? So that would be it. And also what? Yeah, that garment, wore the long garment. Okay. And it says, and the majesty upon the diadem of his head. Okay. So he's talking about his wardrobe. That was stopping this plague from that thing wiping out. Definitely the world of Israel. But we don't know if that thing would have stopped. Okay. But he spared. He spared us. We was going to be wiped out from that plague. All right. Verse 25. Unto these the destroyer gave place and was afraid of them, for it was enough that they only tasted of the wrath. Okay. So that thing was now it took 14,000 now, don't get it wrong. But then it required, and Aaron came, did that, and appeased. They said, all right, that'll be enough. It went on back. All right. All right, beloved. That is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 18. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 18. Anybody anything before we close it out for those online? Those that are watching online, I say shalom.